Have you ever noticed something almost paradoxical? Some of the most intelligent, emotionally perceptive people you will ever meet are also some of the most mentally exhausted. Not because they are doing too much on the outside, but because they are carrying too much on the inside. They revisit conversations long after everyone else has moved on. They replay a sentence, a pause, a facial expression. They imagine different outcomes, different responses, different versions of what could happen next. And at night, when the world finally becomes quiet, their mind often does the opposite. It gets louder. They are not awake at 2 a.m. because disaster has already happened. They are awake because the brain keeps rehearsing what might happen, what could go wrong, what should have been said, what needs to be prepared for. And this is where the paradox begins. The same mental habit that can make a person thoughtful, careful, sensitive, and deeply empathetic can also become the very thing that drains them. The same mind that notices more, understands more, and anticipates more can struggle to find rest. So what is actually happening here? In psychology, one of the terms often used to describe this pattern is rumination. More specifically, when it becomes repetitive, unhelpful, and hard to interrupt, it is often described as maladaptive rumination. This is when the mind keeps looping back to the same themes: uncertainty, social situations, past mistakes, possible future outcomes without creating real resolution. And importantly, this pattern is not simply a sign of weakness. In many cases, people who overthink are not doing it because they are fragile. They are doing it because their mind is highly active in a very specific way. It is constantly scanning for patterns, reading meaning into details, tracking emotional signals, and trying to predict what comes next. That ability can be a strength. But when the system never gets the message that it is safe to stop, the strength starts to become a burden. Part of this involves the prefrontal cortex, the region of the brain associated with planning, analysis, decision-making, and self-reflection. In people who overthink, this system can stay unusually engaged, even during moments that are supposed to feel restful. At the same time, the brain's default mode network, the system involved in self-referential thinking and internal mental chatter, can keep generating commentary in the background. The result is a mind that rarely feels fully offline. It keeps reviewing, interpreting, anticipating, and mentally drafting responses to situations that may never even occur. And what makes this even more interesting is that for many people, this pattern did not begin in adulthood. It often starts much earlier. For a lot of overthinkers, the habit begins in childhood or adolescence, especially in environments where life felt unpredictable. Maybe emotions in the home changed without warning. Maybe mistakes felt unusually costly. Maybe love, approval, or safety felt inconsistent. When a young nervous system grows up in that kind of atmosphere, it learns something very logical. Stay alert, read the room, think ahead, anticipate the shift before it happens. In that context, overthinking is not a defect. It is adaptation. It is the mind developing a strategy that once made perfect sense. If I can predict what is coming, maybe I can protect myself from it. And that is why overthinking can feel so automatic. The current moment may be safe, but the brain may still be operating with an older map. Now, not all overthinking looks the same. Psychologists often separate it into two broad forms. The first is sometimes called reflective rumination. This is the more introspective side of thinking. It is the part that helps a person understand themselves, process emotions, and search for meaning. In balance, this can actually be a powerful trait. It is often linked to self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and depth. The second is brooding rumination. This is the darker version, the one that circles pain without moving toward clarity. It keeps asking the same question in different forms, but never arrives anywhere new. This is the version that can erode sleep, increase anxiety, create indecision, and make ordinary social interactions feel mentally expensive. The difficult part is that most overthinkers move between these two states so subtly that they hardly notice the shift. A moment of honest reflection can slowly become a spiral. And because the mind is active, it can feel productive. It can feel like progress. But often, it is not progress at all. It is repetition wearing the disguise of problem solving. This is sometimes described as the illusion of mental progress. and brain chemistry helps explain why the loop is so hard to leave. When the mind is analyzing, comparing, planning, and trying to solve, it can trigger small reward responses, including small doses of dopamine associated with the feeling of engaging a problem. In other words, the brain can start rewarding the act of thinking itself, even when no solution is being reached. That is why telling an overthinker to just stop thinking about it rarely works. The habit is not only emotional, it is cognitive, behavioral, and neurological. But here is the part people often miss. This same pattern can also reveal something meaningful about the person. Research has suggested that people who ruminate more also often show stronger cognitive empathy, the ability to understand how other people may think, feel, or react. They are often more sensitive to emotional nuance, more aware of what goes unsaid, more tuned in to the subtle texture of a room. So yes, overthinking is exhausting, but the machinery behind it is often closely related to perception, empathy, and psychological depth. The problem is that perception without resolution becomes heavy. Noticing everything is not the same as knowing what to do with everything. And eventually, the mind reaches a limit. Because the truth is, not every problem can be solved by thinking harder. Some things need to be felt, some need to be chosen, some need to be released without complete certainty. That is why many therapists do not focus on eliminating thoughts altogether. Instead, they help people change their relationship to those thoughts. In acceptance and commitment therapy, for example, there's a concept known as cognitive diffusion. The idea is simple but powerful. Learn to notice a thought without immediately becoming entangled with it. Instead of saying, "This situation is dangerous and I have to figure it out right now," the shift becomes, "My mind is producing a fear-based thought right now." That small change creates distance. And sometimes, a little distance is enough to loosen the loop. Because overthinking is not proof that a person is broken. It is often evidence of a mind that learned to stay highly alert in order to feel safe. The goal then is not to destroy that mind. It is to teach it, gently, that it does not have to stay on guard forever. And maybe that is the most human part of all of this. We all carry patterns shaped by experiences we did not fully choose. Understanding those patterns does not erase them overnight, but it does change the way we relate to them. And sometimes, that is where healing begins. Not in forcing the mind to be silent, but in finally showing it that rest is allowed.